All praises to Yahweh. All praises to Yahweh Shai. All praises for the Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that have been and continue to teach the true gospel. Salute to the Akim, spreading the true gospel on the streets and lanes of the city, on the highways and hedges, and on the World Wide Web. Much love to Homo Akwath, who learn in silence with all subjection and are in righteous order under the men of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. This is the brother Raza from the Church of Philadelphia camp. Hey, the Lord just put in my spirit to go into Jonathan and David, right? Because when you think about this walk and the fact that you got a lot of uh, people that claim to be your brother, right? That claim to be in the truth and claim to have the faith of Yahweh by Shemel Shai, and and then look at you crazy, right? But you know it's just a demon that's in their spirit, right? Hey man, you're not gonna get the type of love that Jonathan and David have from each other. And if you're looking for that, that's rare to come by. Definitely rare to come by in this world and in its truth. Quite frankly, you know, you can go to war with somebody 1,000 times, right? Do shit for somebody 1,000 times, and because of the demon that they got on them, they looking at you crazy. And you gotta address it. As a man, you gotta address it. You know, and you know, hey, the shit is what it is, but you know, you can't let nothing stop you from doing this work. Because at the end of the day, we gonna see who was true men of the Lord and who wasn't. And a lot of it is about how you treat your brother. And whether you have righteous thoughts about your brother or evil thoughts about your brother. Right? So we're gonna see at the end of the day. Right? And so, you know, hey, this is what the Yahweh Shema Shai put on my spirit. And you know, it, it's a beautiful thing to read to the true bond, the true brotherhood that Jonathan and David had. You because Jonathan, knew in the spirit that the Lord was dealing with David, right? Even to the point where he's going up against his dad, right? That's a true man of the Lord. And it also speaks about your character and your faith. So hey, it is what it is. But hey, is it hurtful at times? Hell yeah, because I'm just speaking as a man, and I'm still in this flesh. But hey, I'll let Yahweh Bashim Shai deal with it. But the rebuke is necessary. But at the end of the day, hey, Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to deal with it. Let she repent, and that's just what it is. It's the book of First Samuel, chapter 18, verse 1. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan knit with the soul of David. Yeah. Just like I said, he knew that Yahweh Shai was dealing with David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and will let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant. What's that? That's a commitment, right? Made a covenant with each other. Because Jonathan and David loved one another as his own soul. Right? Here you got these guys on the street talking about uh how much they so called would do for this person, do for that person. They never done nothing. Right? But they're takers. They're around you because they can take. They ain't around you for nothing else. You know? And turn their back on you as soon as the wind blow another direction. Right? And here you think they're your so-called friends. Hey, and what it say? With friends like that, who needs enemies? You know, you a friend or you a foe, and that's how that's how this world is. But these things must need to be said because we're in the last days of the last days, and at the end of the day, the focus is on this work, not men in this world, not men who are emotional and act like women. Hmm. And hey, that's why the scriptures say, "Who who can be known to be a friend in the day that you're down and out?" You you just watch what people do, not what they say, not how much they smile in your face. Because you could do something for somebody 1,000 times. As soon as you do that one thing for them, they give you their ass to kiss. But a true friend is known in your time of trouble. Everybody's your friend when they can get a handout from you. Everybody's your friend when you do something for them. But you get people around you that act like they're your friend, you can spot them a mile away. And it's here. Then Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to put that 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 wisdom because they show themselves. Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to make them show themselves to be who they are, right? Because if you're a true man of the Lord, then guess what? Yeah, Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to reveal a spirit of jealousy, a spirit of envy. Somebody supposed to be your friend, that's they repent. Let's stay pray to Yahweh Bashim Rashad to get that demon off of him. Hmm. So let's read on. It says, then Jonathan and David made a covenant. And that's why the title gonna be Jonathan and David. Because he loved him as his own soul. And it says, and Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David. Yeah. So you think how many people that call themselves your friends, what have they actually done for you when you really think about it? And guess what? You don't need somebody to be your friend because of what they do for you, but you're going to see through the spirit by their actions, not by their words, or not how much they hang around you because you can do something for them, right? And you know, and it ain't got to be nothing big either, but you can tell, right? That's why you have to distance yourself from people, especially in this world, you know, because you can see the spirit on them. That's a wicked spirit, and that envy and that jealousy comes right out of them. It's seeping through their pores. Meanwhile, you just trying to serve Yahweh Bashim Shai and have a humble spirit. But like I said, hey, Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to reveal them. They're going to reveal themselves. You know, it says, and Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him. Yeah, a true friend is going to, it will make sure that you're okay. You know, because as soon as you getting a little something, hey, your true friend's going to stay with you, call you, make sure everything's all right. A fake friend, that's when you ain't gonna hear from them. Hmm. A fake friend have evil thoughts about you. You got to separate yourself from them people. You know, even in this truth. You know, hey, you may go out and do the work, but hey, you don't want any dealings with them because you know their true spirit because the Lord is revealing it to you, and they can't help it because Yahweh Bashmal Shai is making them reveal themselves. But hey, that's the test of your faith too, because hey, what you supposed to do? Hey, you supposed to continue to push this word. You ain't here to make friends. You're here to do the work. You know, at the end of the day, it's about the work. And you can't do nothing to force somebody to be a true friend. Because they're gonna reveal themselves. They're gonna show it. It says, and his garments. So his robe, his garments, his sword, and his bow, and to his girdle. it says, and David went out whatsoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul sent him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. So, initially, Saul loved David, you know, until that envy and that jealousy kicked in, right? And here it comes. And hey, the Lord revealed that to David, that Saul wanted him dead, right? It says, and it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the woman came out of all the cities of Israel singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the woman answered one another as they played, and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth. Yeah, there go that envy. And just like a nigga like in this world that envy their brother. And some of these people are in the truth, envying their brother, jealous of their brother. And we all in the same boat. But because somebody got a few more crumbs, there go that crabs in the barrel mentality and looking evil and wicked upon your own brother that would actually do anything for you, right? But the Lord put a jackass spirit on you until you repent, you know? And it says, and Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him, because hey, wait, he's supposed to be the king, right? Hey, and that's what happens when you get so prideful, right? And instead of understanding that Yahweh is choosing, right? You get so prideful that you say, hey, I'm gonna kill this guy, right? Or I'm gonna slander this guy's name because Yahweh's dealing with him more than he's dealing with me. Right? That's what was going on in Saul's mind. So his spirit was vexed. Because what does it say? He was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said that have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me have ascribed thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? Yeah. So hey, so now he's like, oh man, he gonna take my place. People gonna think he's over me. Right? And the fact of the matter is, that's the Lord's will. You can't change the Lord's will. But what did he do? It says, verse 9, and Saul eyed David from that day and forward. So, yeah. So he had an evil spirit on David. There we go. Here it comes. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Yahweh Bashmi Shai came upon Saul. And he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand as at other times. So when David played with his hands before, it would calm Saul's spirit. It says, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast a javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Saul was afraid of David because Yahweh was with him and was departed from Saul. So yeah, people better be careful what they do to true men of the Lord. Because Yahweh Bashmam Shai can take everything from you because you're of what you do to a true man of the Lord. Lord willing, I'll bear that number. I pray, I sigh and cry every day. But yeah, there's a lot of things happening to men in the Lord, right? Getting mocked, scoffed at, right? From your so-called brother, from from so-called friends, so-called family members, right? Hmm. But like I said, hey, just like I say to these people in the world, we're gonna see who was right and who was wrong. Hey, and we're gonna see who was a true man of the Lord and who wasn't, who was pump faking and who was doing the work. Because nowadays, hey man, as these last days come, it ain't gonna be hard to tell. It ain't hard to tell. It says, therefore Saul removed him from him and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways. So yeah, true men of the Lord ain't gonna sweat it. They're gonna continue to be righteous, despite the evil being put upon them, despite the slander, right? The mocking and scoffing. They're going to continue. You can tell a true man of the Lord because he keeps his true integrity, because he knows the he knows Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to make sure his angels are round about true men of the Lord. That's why David was able to behave himself wisely in all his ways. He didn't lash out, right, at Saul. He didn't curse him out. He didn't have an evil eye towards him. And it says, and Yahweh was with him. It says, wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. Yeah, and that's what you people should be. Afraid of true men of the Lord, of what could happen to you. Lest ye repent. It says, yeah, but all Israel and Judah loved David because he went out and came in before them. Yeah, he was doing the work. Hmm. And Saul said to David, behold, my elder daughter Merab, her will I give thee to wife. Only be thou valiant for me, and fight Yahweh's battles. For Saul said, let not mine hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. So yeah, so he was sending him out to battle so he get killed. And David continued to be humble. He says, because again, hey, it's the water Yahweh Bashim Abishai. For whatever we got and whatever we do, we ain't worried about another man, especially not in these days. We continue to put our faith in Yahweh Bashim Abishai. And when you do that, nothing's going to phase you, especially not another man. And David said unto Saul, who am I? And what is my life or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? Very humble, right? But let's see what kind of trickery was happening. It says, but it came to pass at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given unto Adriel the Melechite to wife. And now Saul's daughter loved David, And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. And Saul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, Thou shalt this day be my son-in-law in the one of the twain. So there goes Saul being sneaky again. And that's what people do. Say nothing to you straight out. Right? They use that slick stuff and talking behind your back, because that's what he's doing. And Saul commanded his servants, saying, Commune with David secretly. There you go. In secret, right? And say, Behold, the king hath delighted in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servants spake those words in the ears of David. And David said, Seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and lightly esteemed. So again, still humble, still not talking and bragging about what he's done. Other people bragged on him, right? When it talked about Saul has killed his thousands, but David his 10,000s. The servants of Saul told him, saying, On this matter spake David. And Saul said, Thus shall ye say to David, The king desireth not any dowry, but 100 foreskin of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies. Yeah. So he's saying, because typically, yeah, to marry a man's daughter, you got to pay, and it wasn't no slight thing to pay, and I'm sure it was more for a king's daughter, right? So what did Saul concoct? He concocted to send David to get killed. It says, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. Yeah. Because that was the setup. That was the setup. Because of envy and jealousy. And that's how the people in this world are. They're snakes. It says, and when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. Wherefore David arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. So Saul wanted 100. He doubled that. He said, you know what? Let's double that, because he knew Yahweh Bashem Moshe was with him. He had the angels in them with him. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife. And Saul saw and knew that Yahweh was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was yet the more afraid of David. And Saul became David's enemy continually. And he just couldn't get right. He just couldn't repent and say, hey, I repent. I'm going to turn back from my wickedness, from trying to condemn this righteous man, right? And check myself. Yeah. But hey, that was the Yahweh Bashem Moshe using him as a sign. Yeah. The house of Saul. And hey, people better be careful before they become, in the house of Saul, because of the evil spirit that's put upon them on the man of the Lord. You know? So even though Saul was more afraid, he couldn't get himself out of it, because the Lord put that spirit on him, so that we can say today, hey, these dudes is from the house of Saul. Hey, these dudes is from the house of David. right? It says, then the princes, the Philistines, went forth, and it came to pass after they went forth that David behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much set by. Yeah, so David continued to be righteous. You know, and you don't think the Lord put it on that wisdom for him to be even wiser and to behave wisely? It says, and Saul spake to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. Right? So here you got now your son, but which is uh David's best friend, and they made a covenant together, and you tell him that you want him dead, right? It says, but Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David, and Jonathan told David. So Jonathan was like, in his mind, he was like, "Hey man, I know Yahweh was with David. He don't want that blood on his hands." So he went with the house of David. It says, but Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeketh to kill thee. Now therefore, I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place and hide thyself. And here's the story. It says, and I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where thou art, and I will commune with my father of thee, and what I see that I will tell thee. And Jonathan spake good of David until Saul his father. So Jonathan was trying to tell his father, listen, no, this is a good dude. He's doing all this work for you, did all this work for you, you know. So hey, don't do this thing. And it said, Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul his father, and said unto him, let not the king sin against his servant, against David, because he hath not sinned against thee. Yeah, he's saying, listen, David done did all this stuff, and he did it through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy, Yahweh Bashem Shah. So don't sin against him because he hasn't done anything against you, but big you up and do the work and done a lot for you, right? It says because his works have been to thee, the word very good. Yeah. So here you got this man doing all this stuff, right? And probably couldn't even get a thank you. It says, for he did put his life in his hand and slew the Philistine, and Yahweh wrought a great salvation for all Israel. He said, thou sawest it, and didst rejoice. Wherefore, then wilt thou sin against innocent blood to slay David without a cause? So his son has more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding than his father at this point. You know? So you would think that, okay, as it says here, that he convinced his father. And for a time, he was. you know, John was able to bring him back. And the men spoke, right? But let's go back, let's go down to verse 9. It says, and an evil spirit from Yahweh was upon Saul, as he sat in his house with his javelin in his hand, and David played with his hand. The harp, right? And Saul sought to smite David, even to the wall with the javelin. So again, he did that. And David had to flee and escape that night. Man, we all know. that David had a chance to kill Saul, but he didn't. Right? But it was clear that Saul wanted to kill David now. Again. Hmm. Let's get to the point. Let me see. Like, yeah, and so Jonathan, verse 16, it says, so Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David. Yeah, because he was with his friend, saying, let not Yahweh even require it at the hand of David's enemies. And Jonathan caused David to swear again because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself when the business was in hand, and shalt remain by the stone Ezel. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, go find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them. Then come thou, for there is peace to thee, and no hurt, as the Yahweh liveth. But if I say thus unto the young man, behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord hath sent thee away. So yeah, he was basically sending out the signal to David, whether it was going to be peace again, or this was it for him, and he needs to just stay away. And we know that it's the latter, where he had to be sent away. Yahweh was sending him away so that he could become king. Hmm. Right? And so here you have this is true brotherly love, right? And it's because Yahweh put a righteous spirit on Jonathan, even though his father had a wicked spirit on him. So Yahweh Bashim Shai chooses. Here's King Saul was the king, right? And had favor in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Shai. But now, as soon as he put that wicked spirit and had that envy upon David, hey, Yahweh Bashim Shai took that away. Right? So, hey, listen, I don't want no smoke with Yahweh Bashim Shai. I'm going to continue to do the work. Hey, whether this world will hear or forbear, hey, whether I get mocked and scoffed at, hey, whether I get evil eye toward me, I'm going to continue to behave by the example of King David, regardless of who comes against me. You know? So, hey, before I close, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Lord willing, this video is edifying to the elect. Till next time, Shalom.